Hello everyone, how are you all doing? And a very warm welcome to a new video on the channel. Round 19 it is of the Ziggo Pro League. We've got 3 more races to go, which is, well, USA, where we are right now. We've got Brazil to go, and we have got the final round, Abu Dhabi, to go. And we're currently in qualifying, standings on the left hand side of your screen as always. And since it is the 30th of December today, I'm gonna wish you all a very happy new year already. This will be the last video, of course, of this year. And next year we'll be back with the last 2 videos of this championship, so stay tuned for that. But like I said, all the best for next year, stay safe tomorrow, and have a good day, of course. So there we are then, qualifying, like I said, 3 more rounds to go. And quite interestingly, you saw it on the left hand side of your screen with the championship standings. Last race at Mexico, Roy won that race and he actually passed us in the championship. So with 3 more races to go, we know that the momentum is with Roy, which has been the case throughout the whole second half of the season, really after the summer break, up until Russia, which is of course where he had that crash. But after that he picked it up very well once again, and the momentum is again with him. So I think the only chance that we might have still at finishing second in the championship will be in this race. If it doesn't happen this race, then I think we are pretty much done, and I think that we are pretty much gonna be finishing in 3rd place in the championship and not 2nd. So that's really the philosophy, that's kind of the mindset that we had going into this race. And as you may have noticed, there are some background noises. You hear them right there. Usually for the recordings, this is by the way recorded on the PlayStation 4. Usually for the recordings, I obviously don't record the microphone sounds, so to say, but for this race I was in a party, in a PlayStation party. People who have PlayStations will know this, but I was in that party all by myself. I basically forgot to exit the party. Once you exit the party, that's when the microphone does not record anything, but when you're still in a party, even when you are alone, the microphone does pick up the audio. So that's exactly what happened. I'm gonna apologize for it, but at the same time it does give us something to talk about, I think, for this race, because you will hear, especially towards the end of the race, you will hear kind of my breathing, you know, during the driving. That is something that we'll talk about during this video. I think it will be nice, because you will definitely hear a difference between the start of the race and the end of the race when I'm starting to get more exhausted, which is quite interesting. I never thought of this, but it is quite interesting, so let's make the most out of it as we finish our qualifying lap at 1:30.9. Really nothing special, but good enough for pole position. Now Jarno Opmeer still has a qualifying ban for what happened in Japan. He had a race ban for Mexico and still has a qualifying ban for this round, USA. So he's starting from the back of the field. We've got a 130.9, puts us up in pole position. But interestingly enough, Roy Arnouds on a medium tire, starting from P5, I believe it was. So he's got a different strategy. Our strategy looks the following: we've got soft, and then medium. We can vary a little bit, you know, with the lap that we are gonna pit. And there's a bit of play, so to say, in there. You can maybe pit a lap or lap later here and there, but overall the strategy is soft, medium, and we're gonna take roughly 107 kilograms for the race, so we can overview the car a little bit and play with it. Quickly going through the setup. Sometimes I get some questions: what setup do you run? Well, there it was. Today we are then starting from pole position. Race will be dry. And we've got 5 red lights already, and they are out right now. Quite an interesting race coming up, I think, with Roy being on a different strategy. He will be very fast towards the end of the race. Ian Bastijden in second after a good qualifying for him, immediately attacking us in the first corner. And actually we're side by side with him, and I believe we might be able to come back at him through here. We're side by side. It's gonna be a bit tricky. Don't really want to take that risk. Luckily Ian Bastijden leaves a lot of room, so really respectful driving. But he in the end goes through for now. But interestingly enough, Roy Arnouds already being behind us in lap 1 of the race. So Roy having a really good start on those medium tires. And honestly, that is of course not good to see for us. It will be better to see, of course, a few cars in between us and have a bit of a buffer, so to say. But it seems like that's not going to be the case. So lap 1 of the race then losing the lead, but should be able to regain the lead here during this very long back straight. Of course, DRS not enabled yet, which mixture though, and overtake modus on the DRS should mean that we get by, and indeed we do. So lap 1 of the race, immediately regaining the lead of the race. Does Roy follow? Not yet, I don't think. No. So Roy stays behind for the time being. But at the same time, Roy in third place is really good news for him. I'm expecting him to do a 2-stop, medium and then soft, whereas we are doing soft, medium most likely. So really at the moment it looks like the end of the race is where some battling will take place. Having said that as well, we need to remember that the soft tires, they wear quite a bit, especially in this first stint, as you are on a heavy fuel load and you're actually on used tires already from qualifying, of course, which has a little bit of an effect as well, I reckon. So maybe after 5-6 laps or so, that's when the crossover point is. So that's probably the point where the mediums are actually faster than the worn out softs. So that will be quite interesting to see. We're skipping to lap 2. We have made a little bit of a gap to Ian Bassin already. The gap seems to be over a second, which is good. But I reckon that Roy is going to get by right now. And indeed, it does look like it. So Roy moving up into second place. And he is looking extremely good for, well, I think a victory. Because, let's be honest, he's a really fast driver. Momentum is on his side. And I think from now onwards, he is in a better place or in a better position compared to us. Especially once that crossover point is coming, which is around lap 5-6, and you can already see it over here as we're skipping to lap 7. We're doing 1:38.3, it's roughly 6/10 off the pace, or sorry, not necessarily off the pace, but 6/10 slower than our personal best lap time. Softs are starting to wear, of course, and Roy is doing better and better. It seems to be a 2-horse race for the lead here, for the victory. I don't really know where Jarno is at the moment. He is looking on the minimap into turn 1 right now, roughly 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th place thereabout, I reckon. Maybe he can challenge for the lead as well towards the end of the race. I don't know. He's probably on a different strategy as well, so we'll see what happens there. But for now it is Roy and us, pretty much the same situation as we have been seeing for a lot of races, of course, after the summer break. That's really when the battle between us started to heat up. But at the same time, I said it before, I really had the feeling that if it doesn't happen this race, if we can't beat him this race, then it's going to be really tricky. The momentum is on his side, as we are seeing here. Roy already going for a move on the inside of the hairpin, not able to go for a move just yet. Let's see actually at this battle, because this seems to be a really good battle. On the outside he is. That means he'll have the inside line for this really tight left-hander. He will have the inside line. We will most likely have a better action, and indeed we do. So for the time being, I think we'll stay ahead. But yes, indeed we are. But I was really, you know, quite feisty actually. That's really what I felt like. Like I said, this was really all or nothing. If it doesn't happen this race, then I don't think that we'll be able to recover from the points disadvantage, so the gap between us. I think we're coming into this race with a 10-point difference, if I'm not mistaken. 9, 8, 10, something like that. And of course, if he wins this race and we come home in second, then it's going to mean that the gap is going to go up to 15, 16, 17 points. And with 2 races to go, and with the momentum being already on his side as well, let's be honest, something really special needs to happen if we want to, you know, take second place in the championship, if we don't beat him this race. So I was really willing to throw it all on the line, be a bit more aggressive than usual perhaps, but you know, we've got nothing to lose. This is really the race where we need to beat him, because if we don't do it this race, I don't think that it's gonna happen in the last 2 rounds. So here we are then, coming onto the back straight. Roy of course will have DRS, and that DRS is really powerful. So here we go, up into wrist mixer, up into overtake mode, into the hairpin. He's got the inside line, we're side by side. If I can stick it around the outside right here, that will mean we have the inside line. So once again, just like we saw in the previous lap, we're gonna go side by side into this complex. Roy a little bit ahead though, so this is gonna be really tricky. Once again trying to go around the outside, bit of wheel banging right there. But it seems like Roy is able to make that move stick, although he needs to go wide open for the inside line of this turn, this double right-hander, triple right-hander even, and he is gone by. But then the penultimate corner, again throwing it on the inside, maybe a little bit naughty, as I didn't leave much room for him at all on the exit of the penultimate corner. I think he even had to go off track. Like I said, we were a little bit more aggressive right here. It's all or nothing, trying to keep it fair, trying to keep it cool and calm, as Roy now is once again gonna go for a move on the inside now of turn 1. We're gonna have to swing around the outside. But it seems like Roy is able to make that move stick. So really hard fighting right here. But really on the edge, maybe even a little bit over the edge with the move that I made in the penultimate corner. And at the same time, the nature of that corner does allow to make a move like that as we pick up our first warning right there, which is well deserved because that was a clear cut. I think though, if we are able to stick with him for this next corner, we will obviously now have the DRS. I think we may be able to get back at him, but really the first 10 laps very intense, really hard battling, quite fair as well. So good to see Roy, of course, a really respectful driver, knows how to race side by side. Racecraft is really good. Here we are then, once again, wrist mixer, overtake mode. This time we have got the DRS on the inside of the hairpin. Can we make that move stick? Really braking late, really going deep into the corner. Luckily Roy saw that coming. I think he tried to go for a switchback maneuver, couldn't make that move stick, and I block off the second switchback attempt right there quite well. So Roy not able to get back at us through that complex, and so we stay ahead for the time being in lap 9. But it was really, you know, you basically knew that sooner or later he would most likely get by, but the more I can extend that move that he's gonna make, the more I can, the longer it's gonna take him to make that move, let's put it like that. The longer it's gonna take him to make that move, the higher the chance that we might be able to battle with him towards the end of the race. Because if we let him go right now, I think he will pull away, because of the difference in tire compounds right now. I think he will be able to pull away. The mediums are most likely the better tire to be on at this stage of the race. I think he'll be able to pull away, and yeah. I think it's lap 14, 15, 16-ish when we are gonna pit. So he will have then 5 laps to create a gap to us. So what I'm trying to do is, instead of giving him 5, 6 laps time space, so to say, to create a gap, I want to minimize that as much as possible. I mean, if we give him 2 laps to create a gap, then that gap is obviously not gonna be as big as we come into the pit lane if we give him 5 or 6 laps or so to create that gap. I mean, I know what the situation is like at this point. I know that we're not in a good position, but still. Oh, holy shit, a bit of wheel banging right there once again. Roy going really deep into the corner. So we are now going to try to make the switchback move work. Not able to make it move for the time being, but look at this. We're once again side by side. Really good battling. Roy there closing the door quite firmly, quite nicely. We're again going to go on the inside. Really hard battling, but really clean as well, and that's good to see. But Roy with the outside line there, like we saw before with us earlier, or sorry, able to get early on the power as the car is more straight, better traction, and therefore Roy gets the move done finally. But it is lap 10 then, he gets the move done, and now really we need to sit behind him, I think, because we have an oversteering moment there in the final turn as well. Really demanding a lot from the tires, but I think this is a little bit too much, and it indeed was a bit too much. We skip to lap 15, and you can see the gap, 3.8 seconds. Really massive gap already in the space of, what is it, 4 or 5 laps or so, maybe even less than 5 laps. But in the time, that window of 4 or 5 laps as well, Jarno actually closed the gap to us. So Jarno is now in the picture. He is roughly 4 seconds behind Roy as well. And I said it before, we would rather see Jarno winning compared to Roy. So I'm not gonna hold Jarno up. Just let him go. We're gonna go down into none on the ERS. Not the friend from Jarno. Maybe it is a little bit lame. And of course, you would rather finish P2 than P3. But at the same time, the championship standings, they are more important and they deserve priority. So, you know, I'm not thinking with my head in this for this particular race. My focus is not pointed at this particular race. My focus is set on the championship, of course. But like I said 5 laps ago already as well, I know the kind of position that we're in. I know the position, it is not the best position to be in. It's lap 15 of the race and we're coming in. You hear a little bit of a cough there. The microphone is still picking up those voices. You can hear the shifting, you can hear everything. But like I said, it gives us something else to talk about as well. The audio that we are hearing from the microphone. And that is the intensity of these races. Of course, we're sitting behind a computer screen. This is not any kind of, you know, you don't need to be a top athlete or anything like that. But, you know, it's quite, yeah, it's quite how would you describe it? Let's put it like this. At the end of the race, I am soaked with sweat. Absolutely soaked with sweat, and that has been the case for, I think, every race this season. I'm not driving these races on the normal, I don't know, Logitech Thrustmaster wheels. We are facing a little bit of traffic here. Side by side with Chris Drent, able to make the move though in the final corner, so got by him. Of course, these guys are still on their first stint on medium tires, so we are quite a bit faster than these guys. But we're not driving with a normal, I don't know, Logitech Thrustmaster wheel or even Fanatec in that sense. We're driving with a direct drive wheel, and yes, that is I think a bit of a difference, as we pick up our first warning there of the race, 3-second time penalty. Fair enough, we'll accept it and keep on driving as clean as possible. But like I said, you drive with a direct drive wheel. These wheels are quite tough, depending of course on how you set them up, but in my opinion it also adds a little bit to the immersion. I mean, if you have a really light wheel or anything like that, really light force feedback, if you compare that to really solid wheel, solid force feedback, it really adds to the immersion, in my opinion. Yes, it does tire you. Yes, it is a bit exhausting. I mean, I also do endurance races on iRacing, for example. You know, those are really long races where you sometimes do stints of, in extreme cases, I think 3-4 hours. You know, non-stop driving. I mean, that is really fun actually, and yes, you do feel that actually a day after the race, which is really cool, really nice. These direct drive wheels are really powerful, as we are blending with Hans van der Maat. Not necessarily the cleanest of battles, but I think able to get by. Yep, Hans trying to put up a big fight, fair enough, but of course we're on the fresher tire, so able to make that move stick without any problems really. But yes, these direct drive wheels, they are really nice, really strong, really good. So it is really a pleasure to drive with them. But yes, they do tire a little bit. They do tire you a little bit at the end of the race, towards the end of the race. And you will hear it, I think. I mean, you don't necessarily hear it right now, but roughly lap 40-50. That is usually the point in the race where, yeah, you do start to sweat a little bit. You start to, your breathing starts to become a little bit faster, stuff like that. And I never really paid attention to it up until this point where, you know, we had this race and I was re-watching this race when editing this video. I was like, hey, what kind of noises do I hear? Oh wait, that's my own microphone. And then when I edited the end of the race, of this race, I was like, hey, there's quite a little bit of breathing going on. That's something which you of course don't notice when you are driving. Anyway, that is out of the window, lap 23, lap 24 of the race. Then we are still of course on those soft tires, so we are planning to do a medium stint at the end of the race. And we'll see whether we are able to attack Roy, then we will most likely be on the soft tire. That was what I was thinking. But as we can see, lap 24 of the race, Roy has pitted, has rejoined behind us of course, as we have been driving on the fresh tire when he was on old mediums. But he has gone onto the hard compound, and this is really interesting. We hear the first time breathing, by the way. Did you hear it right there? That was the first kind of, you know, as you could hear it right there. But trust me, there are a lot more to follow, I can tell you that. But anyway, Roy being behind us then on the hard tire. I absolutely did not see that coming, but really interesting strategy that we are seeing here. Jarno is on the softs and he started on the medium, so he is doing the usual two-stop, but then of course starting on the medium tire. And he was flying at this point. He is already 4 tenths behind us. As you can see, he will not go for a move just yet. He's not close enough. But he's going to go for a move very soon. And again, like I said, my mindset was the same as in the beginning of this race. If he's going to go for a move, he can go for it. I'll let him go. I won't put up a big fight. You know, he is none of my business. You know, my business lies with Roy. And that is the only thing that I need to focus on, and I need to do everything that I can in order to try to beat him. But it's looking really tough, and even at this point of the race we are on softs. Yes, they are roughly 15 laps old, so we are gonna approach the pit window very soon as well, within the next 3 laps I reckon. But yes, we are on 15 lap old tires, but they are the soft compound. Roy is on fresher hard compounds, and yet he is faster than us at this point. So yeah, something special I think needs to happen if we want to battle with him towards the end of the race. He's on hard compound. And what is the gap to him? It is roughly 1 to 2 seconds, I think. Let's put it at 2 seconds. So we're basically effectively we're a pit stop behind right now. Let's put it like that. With 24 laps to go, we come into the pit lane for our final stop. We will be going onto the medium tires. And let's see then what we can do. I mean, it's going to be really tough to battle with of course, with Jarno. I think that is something that we're not going to be able to do at all. He'll basically put on a set of softs. Maybe he will even end up in front of us after he does the stop. I'm not entirely sure. But even if he ends up behind us, he'll most likely be flying past us. And with Roy, yeah, we need to make up a, what will it be? I don't know, 18 to 20 second gap right now, I reckon. Of course, it is a pretty tough task, pretty tough challenge that is ahead of us, but we'll try the best that we can. But let's be realistic. What are the chances that we are going to succeed? The gap is, by the way, 17.2 seconds. We'll keep an eye out on it. I mean, if we are able to gain roughly, I reckon, 8 tenths per lap or so, that would mean that we will be right on his gearbox, I reckon, for the last 2, maybe 1 lap. We'll just see what happens. I mean, there's a lot of speculation that you can do right now, of course. Lap 42, though, it is looking quite good, isn't it? Gap is 10.1 seconds, so I think we are somewhat on target to be able to attack him towards the end of the race. So that, of course, motivated me quite a bit, and you can hear it right there. I said that to myself, come up, which basically means come on in the Dutch language. So, you know, trying to keep yourself motivated right here. It's not over just yet, but 10 seconds in 14 laps, it's not gonna be easy. I mean, let's be honest, those tires last 8 laps or so, they were in a really good state. They were still fresh. Of course, we have the advantage, let's be honest. We've got medium tires, Roy has got the hard compound, but you need to remember as well, those hard compounds, they are really consistent and they might even get faster lap after lap. But I'm not entirely sure on that because I haven't driven on those hard tires. Here you can hear it right now, by the way. This is really the final stage of the race, and here you can hear the breathing that is going on. So this is really the point that I was talking about. We're pushing quite hard, 9.8, Jarno doing a 1:33.8, really fast he is. 1.6 seconds is the gap between us, so it looks like Jarno will be able to fly past us, like I said before, like I predicted. The only thing that is going to be vital right now is, I mean, if we can't beat Roy, if Roy wins this race, I think that's it. That's completely over. If Jarno finishes race in first, I think there's a really slight chance that we might be able to still clinch second place in the championship in the last 2 rounds. But let's be honest, it looks like with 13 laps to go, we need to make up 9.8 seconds, something like that. And you can see as well, my fuel, the overhead in fuel that I had was gone. So we are not able to burn as much fuel as we were doing before. That costs us maybe a little bit of pace as well. It was gonna get tougher and tougher the further we went through the stint to really close that gap to Roy. And I didn't necessarily knew that at this point. I mean, we're giving it all that we have, but you know, roughly lap 48, lap 49, lap 47, thereabout, roughly that period, I saw that, you know, it is not gonna happen. Picking up a warning there as well, pushing very hard, but you know, this is the limit really for me. I couldn't do anything more than this really. This was really the limit for me. I tried to do the best that I could, but there wasn't more in it.
Driver in front.
They're on old hards. Their tyres are 29 laps old. The time last lap was a 1:35.7. You're closing by 4 tenths per lap. They have a time penalty of 6.0.
There we are then asking about some information on Roy. They have a time penalty of 6 seconds. The gap is 6.2, but we need to remember as well, I picked up a minimum of 1 penalty as well. So, you know, I knew that that was the end. Lap 56 of the race, it is the end. The only thing that is positive about this race really is that Jarno wins it. So congratulations to Jarno, coming from the back of the grid and still winning it. Remarkable, of course, as ever. Roy with his different strategy. Really interesting strategy, by the way. Finishes second, and we are finishing in P3. Pretty fast lap there at the end, 1:35.0. Not able to beat our personal best, but that was really the maximum. There was not more in it, I'm not gonna lie. The gap to Roy, in the end, we had equal penalty, so it is 6 seconds, something like that. But that's really it. And so you can see it right here. The gap to Roy is 8 points with 2 more rounds to go. And if you have seen the kind of form that Roy is in, if you have seen the kind of momentum that is on Roy's side, you need to be honest, and that is exactly what I was as well, and say that I think this championship for second place is over. Unless something like a miracle happens, but I'm not counting on it. I think the only race that I can remember which went well and where we beat Roy was Russia. And even though we beat Roy that race, we need to remember as well he crashed during that race. If that didn't happen, I think there's a good chance that he would have beaten us in Russia as well, in Russia, sorry. So, yeah, what are the odds? What are the odds? For me at this stage of the championship, I thought it was over, and I think it is. Of course, there are 2 more races to go. We'll do the best that we can, as ever, of course, as we do every single round. But this was really, this USA Grand Prix was really the round where I thought, okay, if it doesn't happen here, then why would it happen in the last 2 races? Why would we be able to beat Roy in the last 2 races if we can't do it in this round? So that's really the mindset that I had at this point. And I'm gonna leave it there. We'll see what happens during the last 2 rounds, but like I said, I don't expect anything big. Thanks all for watching. Apologies about the audio, of course, that came in from the microphone during the race. It won't happen for the last 2 rounds, that is promised. Thanks all for watching once again. Take care of yourselves, have a safe day tomorrow and a really nice day and a happy 2020. Take care of yourselves and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.